Levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. Yo levantaré mi bandera, wow. Levantaré mi bandera, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existen fronteras. No, no, y es que hay mucho sentimiento, lo grito al viento, de ser latino nunca me arrepiento. Lo digo desde la Suiza, centroamericana, rebota en Colombia y en Dominicana y yo.
Hey y'all, we are so grateful to be here today. Welcome to the 2023 Revolucion 30-Day Digital Festival brought to you by Todo Wafi. This is the Latine and film industry discussion panel, and I'm your moderator, Shenny De Los Angeles, and my guests today are these beautiful artists. We'll start off with a Puerto Rican filmmaker, Reyes, actor, writer, and producer, Jaime Zevallos, and writer and director, Asha Chai Chang. Thank you guys for being here today. When I was thinking intentionally about how I wanted to start this conversation, I was thinking about how in this industry, you know, we're labeled, we're identified, we're put in a box before we can even figure out for ourselves who we are. And so I wanted each of you to take the time to talk about who you identify as, how you enter into these spaces. Just a quick intro about you. Asha, is it okay if we start with you?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Thank you so much, Shenny. And I'm glad to be here with you all today. So I actually do a physical description of myself first, just for my friends with disabilities. So Asha Chai Chang, that's my name. I have purple hair. I'm an Afro-Latina and Caribbean Asian woman. I'm wearing a cute white blazer today, and I have some of my trophies and awards actually behind me on a nice shelf. So I'm also a Los Angeles imported, right? I call myself the imported, good imports, fine goods, from Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. And actually, I forgot that part. 2-time Netflix fellow and also Emmy nominated producer. So I definitely got some experience in different ways. Actually, Shenny and I, we were both actually LaLeaf fellows. So shout out to that. That's how we got connected. And I guess I'll now pass the mic off to Iris.
Sure. I am Iris Reyes. A lot of people in the industry here know me as Cookie, even if I'm out of state. I started working in the industry. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm brown. And, there's not a lot of that going on in the industry where I am anyway, in Central Florida. But I am the director of the Tampa Bay Latin International Film Festival. I am a member of Mi Gente Mi Pueblo. We're a nonprofit that tries to bring together the Latinx community within Tampa Bay. And we have a lot of these types of discussions on a regular basis, actually. I am a screenwriter. I just directed my first short, a horror short. I usually work on set. I do this full time as crew, as a script supervisor or first or second AD, UPM, locations manager if they need it. But yeah, I think that's about it. And I'll pass it to Jamie. Are you in an airport?
Hello. Is it pass off to? No, it looks like an airport though. No, yeah. Maybe I could show you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
I am at the LA Convention Center for a movie that I'm in for the horror con.
Very cool.
So I'm double dipping on Saturday. My name is Jaime Zevallos. I'm an actor and filmmaker, produce from time to time, and I'm based out of LA. Moved here from New York about a year ago, and I was born in Lima, Peru. And I like making silly movies with my friends and having a good time.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, I think Iris, sorry that I gave the Latina pronunciation of your name, but Iris, one thing, just kind of getting right into you, learning more about what you do and learning, through your bio and just looking up more of your work, I was really moved because I'm also based in Central Florida, and a lot of folks are like, why would you leave New York? Like, you should have gone to LA, you should have this, you should have that. And like, there's so much. Like, I just had a conversation, now that I'm here in the city for a screening of my film, and there was a conversation about it where people were basically talking negative about Florida. And so getting to see the work that you're doing was really affirming for me, and really moving. And so I'm wondering if you can speak on how you built your roots in the South as a Latina, and how you came to be the director of the Tampa Bay Latin International Film Festival.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's a great topic. I've had that discussion with a lot of people, like where I should live, as a filmmaker. I think if I would have started off having a background with, I didn't go to film school, I started later in life. I think if I would have started off in California or New York, it would have been a lot harder. There's a lot more competition. So I actually moved around a lot. I'm from New York, New Jersey originally. I moved around. I came here for a while. I dabbled in the film industry, and I learned script supervising early on when we were still using film, not digital, right? And then I left, traveled around a little bit, lived in New York, New Jersey for a while. And when I came back here to the Tampa Bay area, I realized the film industry, the community was a lot larger, and there was a lot more going on. And I wasn't really sure how to get my foot in there, but I knew that, I wanted to do it. So I started volunteering at film festivals and meeting, the local filmmakers, and, finding out if there's any way I can help them on their sets, like volunteer my time. And then, so I started working as a script supervisor again, because I was familiar with that, and learned how to switch over from manual to digital, which was huge for me and scary for a while, and, just kept, volunteering my time until I got to the point where people were paying me to come out there and work for them. And so I was volunteering at the old Tampa Bay Latin Film Festival, and the director, during COVID, she moved to New York. She didn't want to be here anymore. And she gave me a call from New York and said, I think that you should be the one to take this over. So she didn't really give it to me, because I had to start it all over again. She said, but she thought that she was worried about our voice not being heard in Tampa Bay, after her leaving. So she suggested that I partner with one of the largest film festivals, like Sunscreen, but I had a really good relationship already with the Dunedin International Film Festival and that director. So I reached out to her, and I was like, I'm not ready, but this is what I'm planning on doing. And she was like, yeah, that's amazing. Let's just do that right now. Like, just do it this year. And so I'm still under their umbrella. Mi Gente, Mi Pueblo approached me when they found out that I was going to be the director of the new Tampa Bay Latin. I added international to it, film festival. And they like bringing artists together. So they were like, listen, we have all kinds of artists at our Latin Arts Festival every year, except our filmmaker. And we would like you to be like the filmmaker person. And so my first festival was put on during their Latin Arts Festival, during Hispanic Heritage Month. And, that was really the first time, and it took a little while. This is like my third year. We just had the third one, and it was the best one ever. But this is the first time I felt like a strong community with the with Latinx culture. Just growing up, even though I grew up in New York, New Jersey, there's a lot of Hispanics there. I felt kind of isolated here in the industry in that respect. And even though they are not in the film industry, they're all artists, and they know how difficult, it is. I find that when it comes to film, a lot of people kind of get nervous, if they're not in the industry, they don't really know how to relate to you. And I feel like maybe they forgot a little bit that this is also art, we're part of the arts, and so it's been a great experience trying, showing them that. More of the members actually showed up this year to the film festival, and they were so moved with like all the movies that we had. I try to label them. Every year Mi Gente has a genre or a theme. This year's theme was identity. So I try to go through the movies and pick whatever fits the theme. Doesn't always work, but this year we had a lot of great movies that fit that theme. Anyway, I keep working. I keep working hard. I just keep going out there. I started working outside of the state just because of word of mouth. People recommend me on stuff, and I just keep going. I don't. I think this is the first year I probably had a chance to sit down and like think about that, you know, and have those conversations about being a Latina in the industry and, you know, what I did. But it's just been kind of like fast, go the whole time.
Yeah. And in the South, like, I think that's the part that is so radical. I know Central Florida is different in the way that we move, but at the end of the day, we are navigating the South, navigating the industry, navigating Latinidad, navigating be a woman. So I just want to give you your flowers, because the work that you're doing is so impactful and it's inspiring me. You might get an email from me after this.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Yeah.
Because I need to be in community with Latina women who are aligned in the same work. It's really radical. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And, you know, as Asha mentioned, we know each other because we recently did a fellowship together. So I'm curious for you, Asha, kind of looking at it from a different lens. You actually just moved to LA not too long ago. And so what has that been like? What has it been like to make that shift and be a Black Latina in the film industry in LA? I know it comes with a lot, but I know people watching are curious and want to know, like, what was that transition like?
The first thing I would say that I don't know why you asked that question. My first thought was self-acceptance. I had to really embrace who I am and not the boxes people were trying to put me in, right? Which is what we feel like throughout the films that try to represent us, or the lack thereof, right? We're talking about we like as a Latina, that we like represent like what 20%, almost 18 to 20% of the population, but yet the roles on TV for us as a whole, not even talking about Black Latinidad yet, but just as Latin people, like we're only 3% of representation on screen. And even harder when it comes to trying to say I want to be a director and actually be the person behind that lens that's going to be portrayed like how we want to be portrayed in the industry. So the first thing I had to do is just like self-acceptance and say, yeah, I have a story to tell. I do have a different way that I grew up, and I really want to show that perspective. And so I moved to LA originally thinking I was going to just write. I was like, I'm going to write about a character like me who's also Afro-Latina and like just things I like to do. And I just started writing scripts like that, right? Like you just start out with what you know, right? What you know. And so I'm like writing these stories. I'm like, this is not really, even if it doesn't go anywhere and LA doesn't like it, it's okay. I'm going to just keep writing. And because I'm also into like cars. I love NASCAR. And I grew up loving, I'm speaking of like the Central Florida area, I went to actually a couple of space cons out there, like, Comic-Con and space cons. So I'm very much like a nerd and like, I love exploration in different ways. And I'm like, that's already going to be interesting for them to get, but I'm going to write it and hopefully maybe my story will be seen. If this is ever a sign for anyone listening to just follow your gut, this is it, because I went out there thinking I was going to write it, take only 3 months of money. That's all I had. I'm like, I have enough to make it here for 3 months, film something, and then I was going to get right back to Charlotte. I wrote it and someone's like, this is amazing. We're flying you to New York. We want you to actually keep exploring your writing. And I was like,
that's great.
Me? Okay. And I'm like, okay, so clearly I'm doing something. Yeah. And I did laugh. I was like, New York, because I was actually born in New York. So that's why there's another connection there with you all. But then after that, I came back and then I was writing another story, one of my other stories, and I was writing about another experience I've had. And that's what I submitted to our fellowship. And I guess, like it obviously struck a chord, and that's how we ended up actually producing and making the film. And just like everyone kept telling me, I had such pure joy. Being on set to me is chaotic joy, but I had pure joy, like actually directing my own film and going, oh my goodness, there's a character like me with the kind of experience that I had. And we're finally getting a chance to actually have it filmed, and like the world will get a chance to see it, right? That's the goal. Because I remember getting feedback on that script and someone said, oh yeah, Afro Latinas aren't like that. I was like, we're not like what?
They're however I say they are.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? We're not like what? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Because you see characters that, we'll be honest, we'll see white characters that are good, bad, criminal. You know what I mean? Like we've seen the spectrum when it comes to other races a lot, but when it comes to Latinas, or even like especially representation of Afro Latinas, which is they're just like, you're the quiet one that goes and cleans in the corner. You're the one who, you might be the best friend of the lead or something, but we don't really see you. You don't talk much. You don't have much to say. So to write a story that's all about this world and all about someone being, I don't know how to say this, like how we have such a bright culture. We will celebrate almost anything. We'll have a party for anything.
Yeah.
And so like, I wanted to show more of that, like that idea of like celebration, or even like while we're here, Revolucion, it's like a change of how we look at things and how we evolve. So yeah, that's how it started the whole thing. So now I've been in LA ever since. I just took that one leap of saying, I accept myself. I'm going to write my world how I see it. And characters, the way that I portray things, or how that I have the world, the way that I see things and how I live my life. And since then, it's just, that's been a door opener. So I just, I'm glad you asked. That was it.
I feel like more than anything, we need more writers of, Latinx or Latine, however you want to refer to it, Afro Latinx. It's one thing to have the actors and the directors, but if we're not telling our stories, then how are we changing any of the narrative? Like what are we showing them? So it starts from there. I love that. Great job. And good for you for being so brave and going to LA and everything.
Yeah, I was afraid. Thank you for that, because I was so afraid to move. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm comfortable in my house. And I actually wrote an article about it. So you guys can read about it and follow me on Instagram, whatever. I'm not going to pour it here on the panel, but yeah, that's the short. And then even the funny part was, even title wise, I remember meeting with my friends like, you didn't choose an English title. I'm like, I never even realized. I got so comfortable and finally being like, here's my Latinidad. It's called Marque Dos. And they're like, what? I was like, oh, how would you get this? How would, like, I kept being like, for the first time, I was like changing it.
Good.
I was actually changing it around, that they had to learn how to say it, right? Just like with my name, everything. I'm like, you have to learn how to say it. Sure. Instead of me trying to conform to your bubble.
Yeah, absolutely. Jamie, you might be boring Jamie at this point.
No.
Jaime is cutting out a little bit.
I'm the one that has the horribles, the connection right now, but
I just did.
Yeah, Jaime's in the cool spot, but we want to hear from you too. And remember, because guess what? We have that in common. You've only been in LA for a year too, yeah?
Yeah. But I was also, it's like I'm cheating. But I lived out here back in the day when I was like in my 20s. I came out here with like $400 and worked on a couple shows and then moved back to New York, So maybe the fear, I don't know. Because I've moved around a lot, so I never had the fear of like, change. I went to like 8 different high schools. Yeah, the change thing never was like a big thing. Like, because the way I told myself, that you just get on, if you don't like it, get on a plane and leave.
Yeah.
So like I'm living in LA, but I got to go to New York next week. Then I got to travel. So it's like, I think the world's changed, right? Like we're not like trees, right? We're supposed to move.
That's true.
So
I'm a tree. Though. I'm a tree. I'm a Taurus though. Like we like to stay grounded, but I hear you. I wanted to kind of pivot a little bit because Iris said something really beautiful, which is that we need more writers. We need more Black Latina writers. We need more Asian Latina writers. We need more Latinx writers in general. And so one question that I had been, just like meditating on for y'all is like, is there a body of work, whether it was a film or a TV series or, even a book? I think we can go there too, but something that you watch or reread, re-experience that brings you back. It obviously be nice if there was some form of Latinx imagery, representation, storyline, but it doesn't I don't want to confine it to that, but is there a body of work that affirms you or reminds you why you do this in the first place that you come back to? Jaime, can we start with you?
Man, I don't know. When I'm sad, I watch the same movies all over again. I'll watch
Yeah.
like really bad movies from like the early 2000s. I'll watch
Mhm.
really bad movies and they'll make me feel better. Or like the late
Mhm.
90s. Like I'll watch Clueless or something like that.
That's
Or just
great.
something,
Great
you know what I mean? But I don't, yeah, but I don't think there's a specific, because I went to film school and I don't think those films are the ones that made me go like, oh, I want to be a filmmaker and an actor,
Right.
because I already knew I wanted to be that, you know.
Really.
I can't say there's a specific movie or film or even genre that brings me back. I think it's just people. I'm
Mm.
inspired by people, like, you know, real people.
Can you say
I
more on
think,
that? In what way? In what way?
yeah, I think sometimes we're too precious about this stuff.
Yeah.
And all due respect, it. Then we go into the level of pretentiousness, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm an artist, I'm a filmmaker, I'm this. Yeah, but like my friend who's a garbage man, he's like, I'm one of my best friends is a garbage man. I don't ask him like what inspires him. I'm like, dude, that's what he does. That's what how he makes his money. And in a weird way, this is how I make my money. And not
Yeah.
to take the artistry away from it, but I really love a quote for any actors listening out there. Quote, which I studied out there in New York, which is um, love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And I think
Mhm.
I think a lot of actors, especially actor friends of mine, like we really have to, and artists have to remember that. Like you have to love the art that you have inside yourself. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I don't think we have to ask permission or, you know, we're obviously in a because I'm in my 40s, so I'm learning, you know. I don't know if I'm Latinx, Latine, you know what I mean? Like sometimes
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
I think the fact that like we're breaking away from stereotypes and creating new labels is a beautiful thing, and we're moving, we're being progressive. But I'm also noticing that because we're almost so into labels that we're like, what's this word? Like if it's not an extreme thing of labels, but I never thought of myself really as an actor or filmmaker. I just think of myself as a person who likes to create work and act. It's really weird, and I'm not trying to sound like pretentious about it. I'm the opposite of it. Like I really, it's just what I do. It's in my DNA. Like I don't know what else I would do. You know what I mean? So I
Sure.
try not to be too visceral about it and heady. But also like I think like my mom works at a bank, and I think being I'm an immigrant myself. I moved here from Peru. Maybe it's the immigrant in me that is a hard, and I've done construction, I've done all these hard
Mhm.
labor jobs, right?
Mhm.
The fact that like I could be at HorrorCon today and like, you know, promoting this movie and being here, like I take it like I feel such in a place of like gratitude
Yeah.
that for
Mhm.
me, like I don't trip up. I don't trip out about anything too much. So like
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I'm doing what I'm doing. And like I said, most of my friends that don't have uh, artist jobs or artist careers, you know, they got to get up every morning, and whether they're sad and or not into it, they just got to keep the grind going, you
Mm.
know. So I keep going
The
even when
grind.
when I don't want to, when I'm not inspired. I gotta,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like the gym. I hate the gym, but you
Mhm.
know, I got to do it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that, but the answer is people. People inspire me. The fact that people could keep, and not just actors or filmmakers, but just people going on and trying to make the best of their lives in this, you know, one person told me something. He said, you realize we're like in a spaceship. We live on a spaceship. Like this is a floating rock going through the
Yeah.
universe so fast. Like you got to make the best out of it. So like I think people inspire me. That's my answer.
Yeah. I think that's a great answer, and I think you brought up a lot of like good points. I think if I'm gonna speak for purely inspiration, for me it would be a feeling, like a feeling that a movie gives me. Like if I feel like, so yesterday I watched A Million Miles Away for the first time, That's what it's called. And it made me feel so motivated, you know, even though I took a little break. I was doing so much, not really a break, but I had to take like a downtime for a minute from people because I did so many things in a row, and I was dealing with so many people, and I moved in between that. And I was kind of feeling a little bit defeated, like, you know, oh, poor me, I have all these things. And then I watched that movie and I'm like, no, everything's fine. Like, I'll be okay. You know, and I hope that one day my films can inspire and motivate people. But like he said, at the end of the day, when I'm like working on sets, I'm not thinking about that at all. Like, I'm just hustling and grinding. And I think that's something that like whenever anyone is coming out of film school, like I did a panel at a university. I did it at UT twice over here. And one of the questions they always ask is, what's the best advice you can give me? And I always tell them that it's hard work. You know, it's not just as glitz. It's nothing glamorous. I mean, depending on what you want to do, I guess, you know. But for me, it's sweat, and I'm, you know, it's long days, and your legs hurt, and you're tired, and you might question, why am I doing this? Like, you know, I had to take a couple of moments because I wasn't producing anything. I was just working in the industry and helping everyone produce their own things, which is great too, and I'm great at it, and I love it, and but it's exhausting. So, you know, I don't know. I think some of us are just like to punish ourselves, I think. I don't know. Every single time I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I'm like, and then someone's like, hey, I'm making a movie. I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll be right there.
I have to know.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I remember making this joke once, but I'm changing my word. I'm going to find a new word for it, but I called it, I was like, you have to be a little delusional to be like, I'm going to do this full time, because it goes through this cycle, right? But you're right, though. I agree with Jaime about, like, to me, I've been called to do this, to be a creative over and over. I'm like, I just got to do it. It's fulfilling my purpose. This is what I got to do. The films, gosh, I have so many films that come to mind. I think Fifth Element is that film for me that I'm like, oh, I can watch this over and over again. I feel like I'm always picking at other parts, and it just, my brain's like, can I get to that level of like when I'm making something that really feels out of this world? But my guilty pleasure film is actually The Wedding Planner. And not just because J-Lo's in it, but I think actually makes it even better because J-Lo's in the film, but it's not about being Latina at all. I was like, I love this. Like, it kind of made me even more excited. It's like representation is there, but it's not about
I love that.
It was about, it was such a feel-good film.
Yeah. No,
that's like, or Love Actually.
That's a conversation I have, especially with Mi Gente, because with my film festival, I'm like, so many different people. I have like, you know, prerequisites from like 2 different places, and you know, they'll say, oh, it has to be this, and I'm like, no, like, I am a Latina, right? And I make movies, and my movies might not be about my culture at all, or about me, or, you know, in Spanish, and nothing would reflect that, but I'm a Latina and I deserve to be supported as a Latina. So, and I want to do the same for Latinos and Latinas. It doesn't have to be about the culture, you know?
Yes.
Like a fight I always have, like, okay, I know this is the theme, but I'm gonna put the sci-fi in here, and I'm gonna put
fine.
You know?
Oh my God,
Iris, not any of that, but it's good. Yeah. So
no, that makes me excited. I like that you said that, because that's why I love sci-fi fantasy, and actually the reason why, because I was a Trekkie, so I grew up on Star Trek. That's another thing. If you ever like, Asha's not feeling good, put Star Trek on. Why? Because it's one of the few places where you have so many different languages, cultures in a place where you're working together, right? You have to work together. You have people from different backgrounds have to work together for one common mission, and every single one of their differences is exactly what they need to succeed. And I'm like, if we could just take that philosophy to like everything else that we do, like I love in Jaime, it's like, hey, my really good friends, you know, does this. I'm like, yes, we need friends who do different things. You shouldn't only be talking to other creatives. You should be talking to everyday people that just live their lives, because at the end of the day, you know, that we're like you said, we're all doing things that we love. There's some things we have to trade in, trade out. There's, you know, like there's so much going on that, like, as long as we're just having that connection, I think that's all I love about film so much, is it's a medium that allows for us to bring in music and dance and sound, like all these elements and be able to connect with people in different ways. That's why I love film so much. So at the end of the day, as long as I'm connecting with people, then I'm happy.
Yeah, Ashe. I mean, those were all really beautiful, like, and served in different ways, because so many different kinds of people are going to be watching this, coming from so many different perspectives. I will say though, I'm the type of person, whether you're, you know, whether you're cleaning the house, doing garbage, I'm like, what inspires you? What moves you? You know, where do you want to go? What do you want to see? And I think like we all have that feeling inside, that passion inside, what wherever way it looks like. But then there's also that access to privilege, access to environments, access to an environment where you are able to be curious, you know. So I just want to affirm, like, it's really beautiful to see the three of y'all just talk about, you know, what your curiosities are, what you're learning, what you're experiencing. And so pivoting a little bit, transitioning into more of the film industry. Asha, because I know you, it's a little bit easier to think of the questions, but when I think of you, I think of someone who's just so empowered and knows what she has to offer. And I know for myself, if I were to watch a panel with you, I'd love to learn, you know, how do you navigate the financial parts, because I think a lot of us understand when you get into this industry, it's a lot of compromise, you know, it's a lot of sacrifice, it's a lot of those stories. I came with $200 in my pocket, and I think we're trying to unlearn these narratives and really focus and learn about generational wealth and financial abundance. And so how do you navigate having work in this industry, whether we're on strike or not? Like, I feel like you're always, you know, understanding and striving. So I'm just curious if you can talk a little bit about that.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I would say that maybe it's a Latin Caribbean thing. I always have like 10 jobs. Kind of like Iris. That might be part of it. That might be part of it. We're going to find a skill in something. We're going to figure it out. But, or like you said, that immigrant mentality, Jaime, right? Like, I grew up with immigrant parents. That's all they were like, no, figure it out. Make it happen. So, but you're right though. When I made my move to LA, I was like, oh no, I need to come with savings. I need to have saved up some funds. So, and ironically, those experiences outside the industry is what actually made me a better artist. So I'm saying that to anybody. So don't think like, I heard people say things like, I don't want to do another kind of job unless it's in the industry. I'm like, actually, you're going to learn a lot more working in some other industries or having some other experiences to pull from. I didn't want to do like waitressing or any of that stuff, but I did get into actually managing tours. So I was like a brand ambassador turned marketing manager, and I started to do tours around things that I liked, mostly video games and like Comic Cons, and like I was in that realm, or
During
even
the strike.
cars.
During the strike.
During the strike, actually, it's funny you mention that. So during the strike, I didn't do anything creative, right? No scabbing. So in terms of with people, so I might have written down some ideas on the side. I actually need to keep writing now. But during that time, I was focusing more on like doing production coordination for like events, for live events. Same thing, like in a way now. Mm-hmm. I think about it. And real estate investment. So I've actually been working on now going from ownership, where it comes like owning land, owning property, and then now actually like flipping. So I'm actually literally in the middle of a flip right now. So that's the other things that I feel like we need more of us there. More of us need to be in that space, right? Because a lot of us have so many skills within our own community, or people who pick up things and learn things. And so you're right about the generational part. So I'm thinking about land and property that I can keep for my family to come, but I'm also thinking about how to get some of that residual income started on my own. So I had to learn a lot about how to do a little bit with a lot, like do a lot with a little, I should say, do a lot with a little, because I bought this property. It didn't take a lot of savings for me to do it, but you're right about privilege, right? So it took me a minute to like first learn what's even possible. While I'm doing that, I was saving money, bought a property, and then now I'm like taking my time to figure out how to actually fix it up to get to the residual. But having the knowledge there, also knowing how to properly set up a business and having business funding played a huge role in making that move. So having the savings, understanding business, how to have a proper business funding, and having that access to capital did give me that like cushion that I really needed to feel comfortable moving out to LA. And then now I'm continuing to do that. So that's what I've been really working on during the strike. Once the strike happened, I was like, okay, cool. I can't have conversations too much about, the next film I want to direct or any of that stuff. But I can start talking to the same people, being like, by chance, you know anyone in real estate? And sure enough, I found out almost anybody who's in the film industry knows somebody who's either already flipped a property, has worked in investments, has done something. And there are ways to get, whether it's REIT, meaning like REITs are real estate investment trusts. You can start out with like $200 to start investing and then making money back. That's something that I started to do. And then now I moved up to, okay, cool. I bought this property for $2,500. How can I now, what do I need to put in to now flip it to actually start making a certain amount of money per month to feel comfortable while I'm in LA? So like, that's the kind of stuff. These are the kind of things like, but
you have to learn business. If you're going to be in this industry and you're going to be hustling and this is your income, you have to know how to, you have to know the business part of everything.
Indeed. And where do you start? So Iris, where do you start? Like if you're truly an emerging artist and this is like unknown territory, like where do you start with that, learning the business?
Well, I guess it depends on the kind of support you have to be honest. Can you volunteer your time to help some people out? I never suggest you work for free, but doing a little favors here and there goes a long way. I just did a short and last minute I asked like 30 people to help me and they were like, sure. Because I'll do favors here and there for everyone if I can. I separated from my ex-husband and then I was a single mom and I couldn't do that anymore. And I felt bad about it. People were coming to me and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't, unless you're paying me, I can't do any of this. So I would say do what you can when you can, volunteer at film festivals, go to places where filmmakers are going to be, and if you really want to get in the industry, you go out there, you have to push yourself out there. And I know that's hard for a lot of us, especially writers and artists. Some of us can be introverts, but if you're going to work in this industry, you're continuously being put in environments where you're meeting new people and you're having to collaborate with them really quickly in an intense situation. So just don't even think about it. Just do it. Go out there, go to your local, find out who the film commissioner is, find out what's going on, in your city or state, find out what events are happening with different artists, and put yourself out there, meet people, volunteer your time to help them with something, and get yourself on set as a PA. I kind of like skipped that and went straight to like script supervising. And so it was a little bit harder and I had to move a lot faster. But I just did what I had to do to get in the industry. And like Jamie says, he doesn't really think about like what he looks like and who he is. And I had to ignore a lot. You can get in your head about these kind of things. And if I would have stopped to think about what I was doing, I probably would have talked myself out of a lot of situations. And I was just, I didn't give myself a moment to I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I need to make money. And so I'm going to go make money. Just like I would, if I was going to bartend or anything else, I'm going to go make money and nobody's going to get in my way. And that's kind of how I looked at it, and then occasionally I would have someone remind me that I was a Latina woman in the industry. And I was like, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, y'all, like, okay. At the end of the day, y'all, like, I do understand as far as like not moving in the sense of like making stories about that, but we are, and it comes with it. Like I just watched this film produced by A24 called Past Lives. And it was the most beautiful story. And I've never, ever seen a Korean woman, an Asian femme, and saw myself in her, but I did. But even though the story was impeccable, the writing was incredible, the directing, everything, the cinematography, I still saw a Korean story, and there was a sacredness to that. So, I just want to add my little thing there, because it's like, it is important that we're walking in the world with our ancestors. We're walking in the world with our truths, with our lived experiences, and it plays its part. So I think, Iris, again, you are giving me the radical truth, because that's what we need to hear. We need to hear, don't think about it too long, because you're going to tell yourself no. You gotta say yes. So Jaime, we haven't really heard from you, Papa, and I gotta get some time with you in here too. And so I was really moved, reading your work. And, I have a lot of friends who are actors who their goal is to just be a series regular. Like, they're just trying to hit that. They're trying to find their way in. And so, I was really inspired reading the work that you do and seeing what you've been doing. And so I'm curious, like, and I know you've been talking to actors directly during this session. So I'm curious if there's like any tangible advice you can give to actors who are really trying to hit that mark.
Well, I feel like everything you're throwing at me is awesome. But because I've been a series regular 3 times, I'll tell you, don't make that a goal. I tell that to a lot of young actors.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to hit that, this is long game, right? And so I tell especially a lot of younger actors. So I hit series regular 3 times. The second time I hit series 17 on a Marvel series, right? I had seen more money than ever.
I think he's breaking up a little bit.
Right now, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think if artists work towards a goal of, I'm going to hit a series regular and then I will be happy, or I will do this, I think it'll just hit depression. I think because we hit that and then we don't know where we're going. Like, we just got to enjoy the ride. So one of the things that you can do to not believe your own hype that I would recommend is, don't have goals of just like, I got to hit a series regular, because you're depending on somebody else. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been series regular 3 times. I'm going to tell you right now, maybe I'm not that lucky, but after season 2 gets canceled, or after season 3, you're back to 1. And if you're not good with money, or if you don't have another way of making money, like when I started seeing Marvel money, what I did with that money, I'm very lucky to have people that schooled me. I have a friend of mine that works in jewelry. He said, you ain't making money until that money is making you money.
Bingo, the residual. Yes, make your money off your money. Yep.
And even with residual income that I see as an actor, that money I invest. I'll invest it. I have to like somebody said, like they're flipping something, right? So I gotta, because I come from like a hustler mentality. Like I grew up in Queens, like very like go get it. So my advice to any young actors out there, or old, and age doesn't matter, but if your goal is to hit a series regular, that's great. We all need tangible goals, but don't make that the end all be all. That's just like one of the things. I don't want to, I'm not going to give names away, but I hit a series regular job. I left New York for like 8 months to go somewhere to shoot. I came back. All my coworkers are like, what are you going to do with that money? What are you going to do? Everyone's like, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to, some of my fellow castmates, I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go this. I'm going to go this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to buy this for myself. Right. And I'm not saying I'm better than them. Please don't get that, what I'm going to say. I said, I'm going to look for a play. I don't care if it pays me. I need, because the contract was so tough that I couldn't do other TV shows. This was when they were locking us in with contracts. Thank God that doesn't happen anymore.
And a golden handcuffs. Exactly.
So I went to go do a play in New York at Theater for the New City on the Lower East Side, and I made no money, but I had 6 months where I could do whatever I want. I did that. I did a short with a friend of mine, in New York, and then I produced something. I started out as a graffiti artist, so I put an event on. I did my philanthropy work. So me and my friend invested our money to put an art show for people that have that have physical disabilities.
Oh
So
wow.
we did that, and all of the money went to stem cell research. So it was like, you just got to keep,
Yes.
because then you're like, I'm in such a position of privilege that I'm like, how can I help out,
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm very lucky because I didn't I have a degree in theater, but I didn't start out that way. I was a graffiti artist, and I hit a show, and I got lucky, and I fell into acting. I wanted to do it, and 3 months later I was doing it, and this is before Facebook or the internet. So
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer your question by telling you this. I met a filmmaker. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He made a movie back in the day called Brothers McMullen. His name's Ed Burns.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's also an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He had a show that he produced with Spielberg called I think it was called like Public Morals on NBC. But he's always doing. His name's Edward Burns. He has a great book called Independent Ed. It's a great book to read, by the way. It's not just for film. It's for any artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I read the book, whatever energy's floating out there. Maybe I manifested it, but I bump into Ed Burns, who's like really like he's looked up to as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I bumped into him at a froyo shop in Long Island, right before the pandemic, right? And again, I was not really like feeling myself like that, but he asked me something. He said, "Jaime, what are you working on?" Oh, I said, "Oh, right now I'm a series regular on a Marvel series." And he goes, no, I don't think you understood the question. I said, "What are you working on?" And I was like, "Thank you." And I go, "Thank you." And I go, "Well, I am thinking about making this short." And he took an hour out of his time to go, what do you think about the short? Like, what do you want to make? And this and that. I told him it'd been a while since I like made my own films, because I went to film school when it was like on film.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he kind of, that little meeting inspired me. It was like a chance meeting. So I would just say for young actors, I would say it's unhealthy to have a goal of, I'm going to book this and then I'm going to do, because you know what? I live in LA, and regardless you're in LA or New York, a lot of my friends are very successful filmmakers or successful actors, but they're very unhappy. I have a lot of unhappy friends.
Speak on it. Okay.
It's true.
Because you I'll get here, and then it's like, that doesn't mean anything. So I think I'm lucky that I'm stay consistently working, but I'm also on the grind. I make my own projects. I surround myself with a good tribe. I do theater. Because for me, being a series regular, yeah, I'm a recurring now in a new show, but like, I'd like to be a series regular again. And that's strictly because I like doing TV, but it's also good for the pockets, and I can help more people, and I can help more people out. That and that's another thing I tell a lot of artists, because it's so much about, as actors, like us. Well, it's like, you should ask yourself, what can you give? How can you add value?
Right.
And whether you're a PA on set, whether you're volunteering at a film festival, but how can you add value? Like, I'm here at HorrorCon. I'm helping my friends promote their movie with Tyrese that I have a small role in. And I know these guys from college. Their first film was a $10,000 film. Now they made a $5 million film. And
There you go.
I raise money. I raise money for movies now too. But like, I don't, not to quote Jay-Z too much, but I'm paraphrasing it. But he said something along the lines like, the only talent he had was kind of like staying in the game. And I feel like, a lot of young actors will ask me like silly things like, where can I get headshots, or how can I do this? And I'm like, dude, be a good actor first. Like, know that you can add value. Know that you can add a lot of value as a performer. And then everything else will come. I'm telling you, all that stuff. And then hopefully you can book a series regular, and then you'll be happy for while you're shooting until the network hopefully it goes on for 6 years, 7 years. One of my friends who's on a huge major show, his show ran 5 seasons. It just got canceled, and you would think he was like, we were talking, and he said, "Man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have any other skills." And I'm like, so I think what is it, Iris or Iris? I'm saying it Iris or Iris.
Iris is fine, yeah.
What Iris said about being a business person, you have to, because a lot of my friends that hit series regular a few times over, I have a friend of mine who I went to visit her, and she had been a series regular a couple times, and I went to her apartment in I think it was somewhere near Koreatown. I said, "Wait a minute, this is the same apartment you had from 20 years ago, the rent-controlled studio apartment. Like, what's going?" And no shade if you want to live in a rent-controlled studio apartment in Koreatown, but you've hit enough money to buy probably like 8 houses, and she was broke, living check to check. And so a lot of my friends are living. I was just talking with someone before this conference who I know a lot of my friends that are living check to check after that series regular ends.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think knowing how to work your money is more important than making a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna jump back in, but I will say this too, because it kind of echoes both what you're saying. I'm mentioning right now. I'm so happy. I'm like, thank you so much for giving all that advice. But yeah, that's all I was trying to get into when I say business funding and forming a business, and like even if it's just starting off an LLC and then be able to own properties and protect them, like along with that, find other things you're good at, or find other skills and bring those, like you said, to projects, or like Jaime said, start your own projects. I'm also a part of a film festival, right? For Slam Dance Film Festival, started a program with them. And then after it was successful, I was like, you were able to then start negotiating to actually get paid for your expertise. I'm just going to put that lightly, right? Whether that means now I literally got spoke myself into being a consultant for other things. So like right? Jaime was talking about you dreaming it up. Iris was like, this is what I want to do. And you said you added international, you thought about going bigger. So I guess what I'm saying is we already are creatives, right? I always tell people I made a joke one time to my mom. I was like, because I went from, no one knows, I'll get to that story eventually in my life. I actually went from nothing to here. I went through losing it all at one point, and now I'm here. So I learned quite literally the hard way of how to get back into a position of being able to do what I want to do for a living, or what I want to do for a living every day. So I always made a comment to my mom. I said, I'm a creative. That means that I can never go broke, because I'm going to always find a creative way to legally make money. Because once you already are creative, once you already know that you can, whether you want to call it manifest, and or literally put in the elbow grease and the time to make something happen, you will. Whether that's, like he said, volunteering until you get to a point, thinking about how you can give back, thinking about what you have to offer, and what, you'll always creatively think of what you can do or what you can learn. So be open to learning, like receiving, but also be open to giving. That's the best way to always make money as an artist, like for real.
I think another thing that, absolutely. That's 1000% correct. Both of you, everything's right. I think what a lot of people miss when they want to get in this industry is that it's a real job, or a career. They're so I don't know, people get really intimidated by the whole fame part of it, and if they're going to be an actor, that's one thing, but people assume I'm rich because I made a couple of movies, and I'm just like, no. Right. So I think when people try to come in this industry, they skip a lot of steps. Like they want to immediately make feature film, or immediately be a director, or like you said, your friend wants to be on a series regular. Like there's so many in betweens, right? I was script supervising for a while, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're working as an AD. I thought you were a script supervisor." I'm like, I'm a filmmaker, and so if I'm seeing that these jobs are needed on set, and I think I can learn them and do them,
right?
Because that increases my chances of being on set. I've had actors come to me and say, "You know what? they'll work with me on a movie, and then they'll see me on like multiple sets after that, and they're like, home, you know. So a couple of them have decided to learn to do other stuff. So you'll have this one Latina friend of mine, she does special effects makeup, and she'll work as a PA, and then she just started acting. So she'll have like a way in, you know.
Yes.
So I think it's good to just have multiple. Don't box yourself into one specific thing, because that's when, like he said, you will get depressed if you run out of that one thing. Then what are you gonna do? Right now, I work as a line producer, so I'll work from home a lot, and I need that downtime.
Yeah.
So I'm making budgets, and I'm doing schedules, and I'm calling people. I can't be, you know, on set 24/7 with a daughter. And I also make money as a screenwriter, so I'll stay home, and I'll take whatever gigs I can, you know. And it gets hectic because I'll have like multiple things going on at the same time, until I get to a place where I can like manage that. So money management is so important because this industry is so all over the place. You don't know when you're gonna get your next gig. Every single time I end the movie, I'm like, I'm probably never gonna do this again for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Somebody calls me and I'm like, oh my God, it's a miracle.
We can keep going in for a very long time. I'm actually heartbroken because I'm like, the mental health part of it is so fragile, and there's a panel for everything. It feels like for this 30-day digital festival. I'm sure there is one about budgeting and marketing, but it just makes me realize, like, you know, we need time separately from this conversation to talk about that, because I think there's always an opportunity to build generational wealth and abundance. But I was just told there is a financial panel and mental health panel. So check those out as well as we're wrapping up. But they're super important because I'm sitting here and I'm like, I want to be just listening to the panel, because I need that guidance and that light too. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk a little bit about what you do. I know some folks are going to be moved and want to follow your work. Can you just, you know, let us know where to follow you? Keep it very brief, you know, but just something quick for us to follow you online.
Jaime? Jaime?
Yes. Hey, my name is Jaime Zevallos. You can follow me on Instagram, Jaime Zevallos, JaimeZevallos.
Iris, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say thank you so much. I think I have to get back to the booth, but I want to say thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna follow all you guys, all you peeps on Instagram, and I look forward to following and seeing what's next for everyone, and maybe collaborating in the future.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you, Raphael. All right. Peace.
I am Iris Reyes. A lot of people call me Cookie. My IG is Reyes Films. And then I have the Tampa Bay Latin International Film Festival. I believe is TBLIFF Festival. And then I run the Tampa Bay Latin Film and Art Network on IG as well, and we have a Facebook page that relates to, and it's just like local Tampa Bay, you know, artists and Latinx artists in the area. And then on Facebook, I'm Cookie Reyes.
Awesome. And to follow me, I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Asha Chai Chang, and also follow my production company page, Love My Productions. That's S. Love My Productions. That's it. And also YouTube. Thank you, Shenny.
Thank you guys so much. Well, thank you for joining us in this beautiful, you know, panel about the film industry. Again, ladies, like, y'all killed that. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and just giving us the radical honesty. Don't forget to check out the rest of the schedule of interviews and discussion panels, like the marketing and mental health panels that we discussed. And please follow us on all social media platforms, including at Todo Wafi and at Revolucion HHM. And that's it. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Desde Nicaragua hasta Costa Rica, con esta canción todo el mundo se identifica. Llamen a los chilenos y a los cubanos, llamen a Puerto Rico y a los mexicanos, que ya se armó la rumba. Desde Panamá hasta vida, estando en mi país o estando allá afuera, porque para mí, mira, no existe